You are listening to the Red Roots podcast.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I don't know. That's a lukewarm response. I don't know how this is going to go now. Everybody doing well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Had
thank
a
you.
good 2 weeks. You guys had last week off. You had some replacements,
I did.
some substitutes
They were fun.
for you. Nah, it was fun. It was interesting. They weren't nervous. They just didn't. I guess they didn't know what to expect, and so it's kind of all over the place or whatever. But equally, I had to do a lot of editing to get just a lot of the silly. We were just talking about stuff that you get nothing to do with anything, and they would just come out of nowhere. In one part, Jalen was like, "Dad, when you getting new glasses?" I don't know. Can we talk about this later?
But that's how conversations at home are like. So
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
they just felt comfortable.
Maybe so. You're right. So things have been getting back to normal here. Mm-hmm. We are going back to, we have 8 o'clock, really, which is weird, but you had a game last night at 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. 11, by 9 I mean 11, yep. Right? So, yeah, well, I guess, so let me go back. First we were in full quarantine, right? And then it was you could go out one day a week until noon. Then it was till 3. I think it was 1 day a week or 5 days a week. You go out till 3, something like that. Yeah. Anyways, was it
5 days a week? I think. Yeah.
And then you could go out till 3. Saturdays and Sundays couldn't go out. And then Saturdays was noon. Yeah, and that was the extra. And then it went until 6. You could be out or 5, I think it was. Yeah. You could be out Monday through Friday till 5, Saturday till 3, Sundays not at all. And now it is Monday through Fridays till 8. The thing is, they haven't been enforcing it. In the beginning, they were enforcing it, but I think they just put a general rule to but they don't enforce it at all. I don't know. I guess I imagine if you're downtown, at 1 a.m., then they'd probably take you and send you home or whatever. But they haven't been enforcing it at all. But things are beginning to loosen up, and so we can legally be out until 8 or somewhere around 8. I think if you have something to do, a reason to be out, then that's legally, it's kind of weird. Sport. Yeah. It's just weird because there's so many, they added so many little asterisks. Yeah. I don't know how to say that. Asterisks?
No clue.
Anyways, more than one asterisk on the thing, if you can be out, which is cool. We've obviously seen the cases go way down. Honestly, it just seems like everybody got it. But it's weird because there's a lot of asymptomatic talk. And maybe we got it and we're asymptomatic, but almost everybody you talk to got sick, in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Symptoms and stuff. So I don't know. It's a very weird time and stuff. Anyway, so here in Bolivia, altogether, those are the rules. But then each department or state would be in the U.S., region, whatever you want to say. The governor and the mayors can kind of decide locally if they want to continue with strict or whatever, restrictions. Our mayor tested positive. I don't know if you knew that. No. He just got it, ironically, after everything's he just got it last week. And so he's been kind of down or whatever. But they haven't said anything about, so I guess we're just on the measures of everywhere else. So we've been kind of getting back to normal, and it's been kind of nice to be able to move around a little more, still taking, security measures with the mask and stuff like that. You've gone back somewhat to football.
Yep. Yeah, football training's back Wednesday to Friday.
Yeah, how was that? Last week was first week?
Well, last week was the unofficial start, where we didn't tell anyone that we started, and we just went. And so the eager kids that came to check the pitch just to see if it was on, they all swung by and were like, yeah, we're gonna just kick around today for this week. So last week we didn't do any training, we just played games, played matches and stuff. So Wednesday I think we had 10, 15 kids, and then by the end of the week we had 30, 40 kids.
Well, yeah, word of mouth.
As word of mouth goes round and kids find out, and you bump into kids in the street and stuff, so you say, hey, look, we're starting on Wednesday. But yeah, Wednesday we're starting officially. I've been told that we're going to be taking the temperatures of the kids when they arrive. I have no idea how long that process and that's going to be in place.
Yeah.
They have the little forehead thermometers. So
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to bring down. So kids will arrive and then we'll take all the temperatures, and if it's high, we'll send them home. If it's not, we'll keep them.
yeah,
So-
I mean, I wouldn't imagine them saying, "Open your mouth."
Yeah.
It's in that
Yeah,
next
won't be
stuff.
doing that.
Yeah. Lift your arm up, put it on your other arm with the mercury thermometer. Like you just standing there.
Old school. Old school.
Or when you want to get sick, you put it over the lamp. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so we'll see. And then I think, because I think the thing we were most nervous about would be the really high numbers of kids, because no kids are at school. So that just opens up a whole different bracket of kids that could come. But last week we didn't have. I think we had like 2 new kids that wouldn't normally come. All the rest that came were just the regulars that normally came anyway. So I think if numbers get too high, then we'll either split the session into 2 over different age groups. So like 3 till 4:30, then 4:30 till 6.
Yeah.
Or we'll do alternate days. So younger kids Wednesdays, older kid Thursdays.
Yeah.
And work it out like that. But I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it.
There's a lot of decisions to be made going forward, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And we're in the same boat with church, obviously. We're like at a place where, okay, we're going to start going back. We technically can't legally this month, but it looks like, actually, I thought we were going to get the green light this month. That's what we were kind of like, okay, getting our stuff
I
ready.
thought people were still going, or were already going back to church.
Oh, they are, but that's because it's just breaking the law, like, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Because you can't have any big gatherings. So you can't, the weddings, illegal. There was a party down there like 2 weeks ago, and the police went and busted it up. Like some type of, like bars, weddings, clubs, like you can't do any of that. You know, get it shut down. And then, I don't know, like initially some of the pastors were saying it was persecution because they heard, you know, from different countries and stuff, people saying that type of stuff. But it's like you can't have weddings, you can't have big, large gatherings, clubs, none of that. All that stuff is getting shut down. And so they decided to extend. It's not about having church. It's about a lot of people meeting together. And so they decided to extend that to October, which, you know, like it would be great to have church service and stuff like that. But on that side of it, like I get it. Like it's better one more month. Like let's not rush back and then you have another.
Yeah.
Because like here, I don't know about in the UK or in the United States or whatever, but we can't take another wave here like that. Like we couldn't take the first one. That's the problem. And like again, I know the health care systems and all that stuff is different, but in here specifically, I can't even speak for different countries, but here specifically, like we just can't. Yeah. We can't go through that again on the level we went through it. It's just not that. It's not necessary, and it's silly at this point and careless to do that. So one more month of not legally having church. One guy told Miguel, one pastor was like, I couldn't even pay my water bill, so we had to go back. Like, so he had to get paid. And so like, in part, at least he's honest. You know what I mean? Because that's the truth about a lot of it. But I don't know. That's a whole can of worms within and of itself. So we haven't, because we want to work with the government. So we want to honor them. And, you know, everybody when their favorite candidate wins in president, we always pull out the verses about honoring those that are in, you know, that are in charge and stuff like that. So that even goes when they don't do things that we want, or having grace for them in this time, because it's a hard decision. Like, you know, it's not that simple. Like, oh, we'll just shut churches down. Ha 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 ha. You know, like, I mean, our mayor here panders big time to the church because he's trying to get reelected. And so that's why he had all those meetings and stuff when we went down to the, you know, anyway, it's a whole other thing. But like, so like he's not going to be closing churches to, like, that's not, he's been trying to pander big time to the evangelical circles and stuff, which is a joke. But anyways, that's not the goal. It's not to shut churches down. So again, we want to work with them in the future to help and do stuff in our city. And, you know, want to have a seat at the table to be able to, you know, have influence over our city leaders or with our city leaders, whatever you want to say. And so I think one of the biggest ways to start that is by like submitting to their decisions and supporting the decisions when it's not. Is it frustrating? Not somewhat, but is it damaging? No, it's not damaging. Well, you know, we're fine. We'll be fine. The gospel is not being held back or speed bumped or like nothing like that. So like, you know, this is bigger than our little preferences or whatever. And so, we'll go another month, we won't have it. And then we'll probably in October, we'll probably start back up. A soft start, no kids. We're not going to have kids for a while. So I don't know. We're in all those conversations now trying to figure stuff out. We have obviously been remodeling the church. If you follow our channel on YouTube or friends with us on Facebook or whatever, you've seen that. So we're getting to, I think, the end. No, I doubt it. I mean, we've done most of the big projects, but then the little stuff is what adds up. So, but we want to get all that done before we go back. We're adding another bathroom in our church. Hey, no, there was a bathroom that was added there during construction, which is like 13 years ago. And it just no one ever finished it. And so we were like, hey, we have like 100 bodies in here on Sundays, counting kids. One bathroom is, it's just not. And so we wanted to finish that. So we've been doing that. I think Rudy and I are going to finish it. The cement work, we've learned that, like masons. We built the stage the other day. We built the back thing, whatever. There's a lot of different stuff. So hopefully we'll get all that done before, so that we can open back up. Or before we open back up is what I'm trying to say. So we can open back up. We got a logo for the wall and stuff, so that should be coming along smoothly. Fingers crossed. New pulpit. I
haven't seen any of that.
It's not in there.
To see it.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll all come out the way that we envision it, right? But it's just. We just took advantage of it in the quarantine in that sense. It got stuff done. And so take advantage of it. We can't have church. Well, how can we advance our church building while we're not having church, And so, we did it. So for us, it's been, honestly, somewhat of a blessing, not having church, but having the time to be able to commit to this stuff and dedicate.
We wouldn't have been able to do any of this had there not been.
Nah. It would have been too chaotic.
Yeah.
Who's preaching if we're going to spend 40 hours in there, hammering and drilling and stuff and
even with like Carla having her kids program in there and stuff, we wouldn't be able to do cutting and
that's right
and stuff with kids running around.
Yeah, literally impossible. So I don't know. I feel like we've made the best of it, and so here we are. Anyways, today's topic. 30 minutes later, we're getting good at like not rambling, but like small talk. We're getting good at small talk. The question for today, or the topic for today, is what is furlough and what does it look like? So furlough, most people have probably heard the term, but if you don't know what it is, furlough is typically a time. It's like a sabbatical, like an extended sabbatical. Some people take it's the missionary. It's a missionary. It's not a missionary term, but it's a thing that's used a lot in the missionary world, where people basically go away for a certain amount of time, and they furlough, like they go on like a break or whatever.
I was reading that up until recently, with all the internet and stuff, that furlough was typically 4 years on the field, on the mission field, and 1 whole year back in your home country.
4 years and 1 year?
4 years and 1 year, yeah. And that was because they wanted families and children to really know their country. So they required, organizations required of their missionaries that they would spend a full year in their country and 4 years in the country they were serving in. But on top of wanting the families to learn their culture and their country and their ways, it was also supposed to be a time of rest from everything that you've worked so hard on those previous 4 years. And simultaneously be a time where you visit every single one of your supporting churches and preach and encourage them and keep them up to date. So I'm just like, which one is it? Are you resting or are you? Resting. No, not at all.
That traveling to church is draining. Like it's not, and it's stressful because I know I'm taking the conversation different way, but like and you haven't done this yet. No. Thank God. Not thank God. It's not, but
supporting churches. We love you and we love you.
No, it's not. Yeah, no. Yeah, that sounded terrible. But what I'm trying to say is that you spend a lot of money to go raise money, and you're not sure if you're going to gain support or if you're going to maintain support. You could literally spend. For me, that's why I go by myself. Is it's so expensive. People are like, oh, why didn't you bring the girls? Like, man, I want to. First, they're in school, but equally, it's going to cost us $5,000 to travel to the States. And so what if we travel to the States and we get $5,000? And the point is we need to raise more support. So we need more monthly supporters. So if I go $5,000, or we go and we spend $5,000 and we get $5,000 in cash, that's not a win. That's a lot. Like that's a lot. And then plus minus the time that we're away, from our home and our jobs and whatever. Like it's not a win. And so it's very stressful to have. It's a financial burden. Now. Most times you obviously you make, because most people aren't really interested in monthly financial support. They want to give you a gift, which is awesome. Like that, not complaining, but equally, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, so if you spend the $5,000, then those gifts, if they add up to $5,000, then you just broke even. And so it's like, and so that's why I typically go by myself. Is one, because the girls are summertime here is wintertime in the States, and it's hard to travel around by vehicle in wintertime. I mean, snow, ice, whatever. But equally, like it's just way cheaper. I'll spend $1,500 and I'll go, and it makes it, you know what I mean? So the margin is way less. So if I make $1,500 and I get $2,000, $2,500, and like usually we don't talk numbers on here, but like I just want people to understand like why what you said is important to do all that or whatever. And because it's so stressful, you're traveling around. There's moments where you get to relax and talk to your parents and your aunts and uncles or whatever, your friends. But it's not a relaxation trip by any means. Yeah. It's not restful.
And we had also, like earlier on when we first became missionaries, had decided that we weren't going to not vet churches, but determine which church we will go visit based on the potential of their giving. Because who are we to say, they're going to give, well, let's go visit them. And they don't look like they're going to give. So because they're small, a small church, we're not going to go there. No, we will equally, if time permits, accept any invitation that we'll
go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can get there, we'll go. It doesn't, because we're going way out, but I'll say this and then we can bring it back to Furlough, because we're talking about fundraising all of a sudden. But I don't know what I think. One thing I took in fundraising, and I don't know, maybe it's up to you, but is the last 2 times I just decided I'm not going to fundraise. Yes, I want to fundraise, and but I'm just going to go as a guest preacher in my mind. If they ask me to preach, I'm going as a guest preacher. So I'm not thinking about money. I'm not thinking about anything, and because it's exhausting, it's tiring, and you're nervous constantly. God is your provider. Yes, I know that, but it doesn't mean that you don't struggle with this, because I have my wife and kids at home. Then we have Rudy works for us. We have projects and stuff that are pending on if we have enough money or not. And so you're literally the whole time you're walking around with that burden or whatever. And so anyways, we're not talking about fundraising today though. Talking about furlough. So it was important to bring that up, I think.
That fundraising is not a furlough.
Yeah, that's not a furlough. But that's the way I was taught as well. Is furlough is a time where you just, I don't know what you do, honestly, because we don't take furloughs, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you just relax and or do what you want to do, I guess, kind of, and visit family and build relationships, and your family can meet your kids and all that type of stuff, and spend a good amount of time around them or whatever. Fundraising is that, it's work. You're moving around a lot. You're going city to city. It's work. And so I was taught that they were different. So that's actually the first time that I heard. I mean, obviously, it makes sense, especially back in the day before all this stuff or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I read that on a blog from a chairman of missions in a Baptist college or university. So.
Yeah. It makes sense. So have you been, furlough, you have?
No experience yet.
Oh, not experience, but have you, what are your thoughts on it? Do you have, what is your perception of what it is? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it would very much that sense of you go back and then you have to fit everything in to those 6 months. So you have to be relaxed, but you also have to visit friends and family, and you have to raise money, all simultaneously. Is that the right word?
Yeah, simultaneous. Yeah, I can maybe doubt it. Yeah,
it's the right word. Wasn't sure on the pronunciation, but that kind of sense. But yeah, I mean, a question that I guess I have for it is, because I sit I don't holiday in the UK. Mm-hmm. When I'm in the UK, I don't holiday in the UK. So for me, the idea of going back to the UK for a holiday wouldn't be a holiday. It wouldn't be a break time because I don't holiday in the UK anyway. Yeah. So I think for me, something that I would look to implement would be, okay, anytime I go back to the UK, it will be to fundraise, it will be to see friends, it will be to see family, but it won't be for a holiday. And I'll go somewhere else for a holiday. Mm-hmm. So maybe like do 2 years on the field and then go back to the UK and then do another year and then, I don't know, go somewhere in Europe or go to Colombia or go to Argentina or somewhere like that just for a week or 2 weeks, something like that. So take an actual specific, I'm going to go somewhere where I don't know for an actual holiday. Yeah. And treat it as a holiday.
Yeah. Because that's where the lines get blurred is people have like vacation time and then like rest time. But I guess it all does get mixed in, you know. Like, so for us, we take vacations. Like, we'll go on vacation to the States. And that's not, like you said, it's not really vacation. The reason it's vacation is because we have kids and nieces and nephews and stuff. Yeah. And so it's like, because honestly, if we didn't have like that, like, it'd be like, like you're saying, like, let's go to Madrid or, you know, or whatever. But like, you know, obviously at this point now with our kids, it's important that we want them to see, and it's enjoyable for them to be around the cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc. So that's our like vacation time. So we'll go to the States, and we do like when we go on vacation. Like last time it was Christmas, and you're right. It wasn't really vacation. It was great. I'm not saying, but it wasn't vacation necessarily. It was vacation in the sense that we're not here and we're not working. That we weren't at home. I mean, in that sense, it was. And we got to spend time with family, but that's not vacation. That's Christmas. You know what I mean? That's what normal Christmas should be for most people. And so we just had a normal Christmas. But you know, we count that as vacation these days. But we don't do furloughs. We don't hate it's not that. Let me say this: everybody's entitled to do what, like, you know, there's a gazillion different methods and ways to do furlough and time in the States and whatever.
But when you're with an organization, you have to follow their
protocol or whatever.
Furlough protocol,
Yeah, so like there was one organization, they did 2 years on, 1 year off. Yeah. I feel like that's personally, I feel like that's extreme because, okay, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What is your, because let's say you're a church planner. You plan a church 2 years, now you got to be gone for a year. Man, so you come back, you're starting to square one. I mean, pretty much, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that is with the assumption that you've already discipled great leaders. But when you think about just 2 years to plan a church, disciple great leaders, and to have it running and flowing without your help, it's...
No, I was just going to say, 2 years in, you're just starting to preach in Spanish. Like, you know what I mean? With confidence, barely.
True.
Barely. And so it's like, okay, I get taking care of people. I get that. But then equally, and there's different ways to view missions too. And I guess that's all this plays a part because some people view missions as like a military deployment. So going to Afghanistan for how long you'll be there? 9 months. And then what? Oh, we're going back. And so that's what I think. So, and that's fine. Some people view missions as a deployment. So they're here for how long is your term? And so my term is 2 years. Then I'm gone. And they know that. Yeah. And so, you know, you do it like that. For us, it's different. We live here. We have dogs and pets and our house. And, you know, I mean, we live here. You know, our kids go to Bolivian schools, not, you know, Spanish. Like, this is where we put roots down, you know. And nothing is better or worse. It's just different, you know. And so for us, the idea of furlough is, I mean, like when I say furlough, I mean like an extended period of time, not like a month, 2 months, 3 months, but I mean like a year. The idea of us taking a year and just not being here for a year is just not realistic, one, and honestly stressful because. And I want to be respectful but I'm just sharing. This is my opinion, right? So I'll just, and also it's the Red Roots podcast, so we can say whatever we want. No, but like, what other job do you work in the world where you get a year off? Well, and I mean that's called unemployment. From like, oh yeah, oh where you work for a carpentry shop? Oh yeah, but they gave me a year off. No, they fired you. Like that's what, you know. And so like. I believe in time off and self-care and all this other stuff, but equally like a year, 2 years off. Like what do you do?
Yeah, that'd be my biggest question. What do you do for a year? Because surely you'd just be sitting there going, I wish I was back.
Yeah.
I was thinking about all the things that you were doing, and now you're no longer doing that.
I know some people who were missionaries that literally itinerated, and for an entire year they were at a different church every Sunday and Wednesday preaching.
But that's not furlough.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
But it was included in their time of furlough of going back.
Yeah, but technically, you're not relaxing if you're doing that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're not. But equally, like, you can do it, but look, we have to look at the roots of why you do what you do. And that's why some of these missions organizations, I think, need to reevaluate some of the things. We've talked about different stuff like this before, about like the escapism, like the escape mentality, like, got to get out of there. Because unfortunately, a lot of these rules were written in a time when supremacy was a huge issue, a bigger issue than it is now. No, better way to say it. Wasn't taboo. It was just it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so, you need a break from being with those people. Or you need a break because no one there is qualified to speak into your life. So you need to come here and get ministered to. When it's like, my neighbor's ministered to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
or it's viewed as you were suffering for 4 years.
Yeah.
Now you finally get to be in a place where you are not suffering every day.
Yeah, because you had to live where people, that are less than you. You had to live a life that is below you. You've lived that way for 3 or 4 years, so you need to come and have a year break. Again, not saying the breaks are wrong or anything, but we just have to really, revisit maybe the reasoning and motives behind why do we want to do why are we requiring it to take care of the missionaries? Oh, that's awesome, but are you being taken care of? You know what I mean? Because like for me, who knows me best right now? Yeah, on a certain level, my parents and my friend, but like not really. Like the people that are around me every day, because you're changing.
Right.
Like, you change all the time. So the people that are around you every day, and this is the way it's supposed to be. Your church community is supposed to be the people that know you best. That's where confession happens. That's where growth happens, and all these things. So, again, I'm trying to be careful, but equally, like as a person who belongs to a church, if I'm going through a rough time, the worst thing you can do is remove me from that. And throw me into another church with Christians that I'm not around them. I can be phony around them. I can hide stuff and whatever. It's like, this is a stretch. I'm fully aware of it. But equally, what is the first thing that when you mess up or when you fall short, what is the first thing the enemy starts talking to you and whispering in your ear? Isolate yourself. No one understands you. No one, whatever. Go over or send you to a group of people that they really can't get in your business, so they can just pretty much agree with you and pet you up. And it keeps your sins and stuff secret and hidden. Again, I know this is an exaggeration or extreme case, I should say. But equally, like you don't need to go get your wounds licked if you're not. You know what I mean? If you're the one hurting people, or if you're the one, you sometimes you need to be corrected, and that happens under the discipline of the local church. And if you are not the pastor, if you're not whatever, or even if you are, there's elders that have a biblical authority to be able to confront you on issues and really call you out, that they see you in everyday life. Mm-hmm. So for me to run away from it, to not submit to anybody here, and I'm just here to minister, but then to run off to somewhere else to be another part of another community that I'm not really a part of, I'm temporarily there for a year to get quote unquote ministered to, then I don't understand the meaning of church. And equally, if I think that people here, just because their skin is brown or because they speak Spanish or because it's a third world country, can't speak into my life and minister to me, then I'm messed up. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
If I'm not letting people in, because we've said this before, I'm not here I'm just not here to teach and be the head of everything. I'm here to be a part of something, a part of the community. I'm here to receive equally as much as I'm here to give. And yes, boy, am I ever here to give. I definitely am. But I can't be here to give if I'm not here to receive. Mm-hmm. That's not. So for me, if I'm having a hard time, again, I'm not against break. I'm not against having a break or taking a break. Again, I want to be very clear about that. However long, that's up to you. But equally, if I feel that the reason I need to go is to be restored and refreshed and whatever, then I would have to question, what am I doing at my church? And I'm cheating my church by thinking that I'm just here I'm talking down to them. Whether I see it like that or not, whether that's my intentions or not, I'm speaking down to them because I'm speaking to people that I will not allow to speak to me. And that's not okay.
I don't think it's necessarily if you take a break, it's because you need to be restored from your people.
No, I'm saying in that case, though. I'm not saying that's the case every time. I'm saying in that case. Because that's on paper, that's sometimes what it is. It's like the idea is to come and so that you can get ministered to and blah, 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 blah. Which, again, I get that. But however, like, that should have been happening all year. You know what I mean? Like, in your church. And submitting to you. Just equally as you would if you lived in the United States. You would submit to that church. So why is it that when we come here, we don't, you know what I mean? We can't submit to the authorities in our church here. Maybe there's a supremacy issue hiding in there somewhere. Maybe. Again, not in every case, not even in most cases, but definitely in some cases, you know. And so that's what I was trying to say.
No, it makes sense. I know that as far as like furlough, I think that a lot of people probably try to work through their furlough because of just the optics. Like your supporters continue supporting you through that year. Most people are on furlough or 3 months. And so naturally you want to show people, be accountable to people that, look, this is what we're doing and still deserving of your monthly support. And so they're like, we're going to visit you this week. Then we're going to this church that week. Or because if not, it just looks like a year vacation. And it's like, believe it or not, which I think people have the right to a certain degree, take offense to the fact that you're just kicking your feet up over in Miami at a beach somewhere for a whole year. Yeah, for a year. That's the real issue. It's not for, that you take a break. Because some people get upset if you take a break at all. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be ministering the gospel. You're eating steak. Like, we had that. I took Melinda out. It was our anniversary, I think. We got a steak, and I took a picture of it and put it on Facebook or something. And the guy was like, I forget what he said. Something about this is where our support money's going or something like that. I was like, bro, first of all, you support us for like 25 cents a month. So keep your bubble gum. And like, if you know what I mean? If you think you're buying stocks and you can control, like I take my wife out for a $7 steak, like keep your bubble gum stick a month and, go complain with somebody else. Like, because that's the absurd. So if you go on vacation, that's what missionaries do, have their feet up. Like, bro, like you don't go on vacation? Because it goes on both sides. Equally, like, no one in the real world takes a year of vacations. Yeah. That's the reality. But equally, everyone in the real world can take vacations to an extent, right? And so there's two extremes to it. One side, people like say that we can't take vacations at all. Even from vacation, sitting on the beach, commenting on our Facebook post about us being on vacation. You know what I mean? Like thinking that we can't do that or whatever. But on the other side, like, it's a bit extreme to have a year of vacation. Not a year off, but whatever. But a year of vacation is like, okay. I think for me personally, if I get to that place to where I need a year off, like that to go and like, I mean, I need some reevaluation. You know what I mean? Like, okay, is this really what I need? I think that there are some special cases where we've seen, maybe one of the one person in the marriage is maybe having mental health issues and they need help.
Absolutely.
From a different community. Yeah. I don't know, because it could have. Sometimes, you don't get good mental health in a third world country. So that's just the reality.
Well, like there's no access to the doctors and stuff like that here. And that's a different thing, though. That's a complete, for me it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you would consider that a furlough. You would just say we need to go take a break for a little bit.
Yeah, because that's not relaxing. Yeah. Like getting healthcare and stuff and like, trying to figure out what's wrong with you. That's not like, so I don't count that either. I guess I have this very, very narrow idea of what furlough is.
So what is furlough? Let's talk about that in this podcast.
What is it then? You say what it is.
I mean, I read what a professional said. It's leaving.
A professional missionary.
A professional writer of a blog that works at a seminary. I don't know.
He said that's what it is now?
He said that's what it was before the internet kind of just allowed us to connect with people back home,
Go ahead. Sorry.
But he said it's changing now. You would you see less people let the furlough period getting shorter, so it'll just be months versus a whole year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because some require you like a year and a half, 2 years still. This is a long time.
And I think that probably goes back to what you were saying, how they break them up into terms. So you serve your first term, which is 4 years. Then you go back for a year. So you are supposed to finish up what you started in the beginning of those 4 years by the end of your 4 years. So you're done. You don't have anything to keep checking back in on.
Yeah.
And then you serve another term, which is 4 years. So maybe you go back to the same project or you start something else.
But I guess if you do that, it's good. If your idea is to not start any long-term projects, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if you want to do, I don't know, if you do a Bible study, like, or a small group leader or something like that for 2 years, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, it's all going to come to shambles, because hopefully you're part of a church if you're doing that anyways. But, or if you want to start a basketball program, yeah, it's fine. You can take, but
build wells.
Yeah, but that's not even. I mean, that's a trip.
Yeah.
Like, but I think if you want to like do church planting or like stuff like that, or even just
orphanage work, maybe? Yeah,
like orphanage work, like that. It's not that, you know what I mean. It's not that simple, and it's even not detrimental, but it kind of is, like because like, okay, we got some new kids at the orphanage. Now we got to leave for a year.
Yeah.
And we literally can't go. Our organization won't let us go.
Or you were their parental figure for 4 years, and then you have to leave.
And these kids have issues like that anyways, you know what I mean? Of being abandonment issues, and now here I am disappearing for a year out of their lives. Mm-hmm. It's not, again, I'm not, maybe I am knocking, but like, I'm not, that's not what my intentions are. It's just like, it's a complex thing. It's not as simple as like, oh, take a year break. Well, you take a year break. Oh, I can't. My job would never let me. Okay, well. So
you're just saying it looks different depending on your work.
Yeah, it definitely looks different. My thing is not even what you do or how long your furlough is or isn't. My thing is your heart. It's like, why? Okay, I'm not questioning your furlough. I'm saying have this conversation and thought with yourself of like, okay, why do I feel I need a year off? I'm sure there are legitimate reasons for that. But just, it just needs to be, because if it's like, ooh, I just need to get around some people who can speak to me and minister, you know what I mean? Like, I need to get around some people who can help me. I need to be ministered to and whatever. Well, then there's some other issues there. Yeah. That's not, because there's people everywhere that can minister to you. There's people that believe Jesus. They know the word as well. But this goes into another thing, is we think about churches in the United States, at least. I don't know. How many elders in churches are poor? You barely ever see a poor elder in church. Barely ever. So there's some type of connection that we have between financial success and spiritual maturity, even though that's absolutely not true at all. You rarely ever see a person who lives in a trailer park or in the projects being an elder in church. And so for some reason we're making a false equivalent between those two. And I think we carry that mentality here, is when we see people who struggle and live in little shanty houses or villages or whatever, we're kind of like, not intentionally, but I think we kind of believe that they can't speak to, you know what I mean? They don't get it. They're not whatever. Yeah. He doesn't even have good shoes. Like, what does that have to do with? But, we would have not received well from John the Baptist. This guy's eating bugs. Not because he's weird and he likes eating bugs, because he's hungry. Like, he doesn't have anything to eat, Like, he's dirty looking, but that's irrelevant. That's completely irrelevant to the gospel. Present yourself well because the way that our society is and stuff, but equally has nothing to do with spiritual maturity, how much money you make or don't make and whatever. Work ethic, possibly there's an argument to be made there, but your bank account and all that doesn't. But I feel like there's a parallel there. Maybe I'm making stuff up, but I don't know many people that can name many poor elders in churches either. Mm-hmm. It's usually somebody with, that makes it not rich, but makes a good amount of money. Yeah. There's almost never do you see someone that works at McDonald's being a church elder. Why is that? Because most of the time we look down on people that make less money. Like let's call it what it is, Yeah. And so I think that same mentality comes when you're here. It's like everybody's poor. Like, by U.S. standards, everybody's poor here. So it's like, who can speak into my life? You know what I mean? And that's not right. That's not right at all. Look to the hearts of people and look what, man, if God can use a donkey and a fish and all this other stuff, that he can use rich people, poor people, right. People with no legs, people with no, whatever, like blind people, Down syndrome. Like, man, let people speak into your life, man, and really be open, for that to happen.
It's a really challenging, I guess, perspective that you brought up. Like it challenges you to look around and say, well, if I don't feel like I do have a group of people that are able to minister to me, pour into me, or even feel comfortable doing that, the question is why not?
Yeah, well, because it's not like if the people hate you so much they don't want to pour into your life, like
they're not going to let you pour into their life.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just going to not want to be a part of you at all.
And I guess like if you live in a village off in the jungle somewhere, like it's a different conversation. Like at that point, yeah, you probably need to come back and get some like just poured into, because you don't have internet out there. You can't like Skype or FaceTime. You know what I mean? You can't or access messages on YouTube to get poured into or whatever. And a lot of times in like not villages like around here, but like jungle villages, like where people don't wear clothes and stuff. Like they're not going to be like they don't. A lot of these people haven't even heard the gospel. Mm-hmm. So, at some point you definitely want to be open through your work of them growing enough, like not growing enough. That's not what I want to say. But like, maturing to a place where they get it and they want to pour into people and minister to people. But in the beginning, yeah, I mean, definitely. But there are not a ton of missionaries like that working. I mean, I would say 90% of missionaries work in urban areas at this point. I'm just making up a assumption, I guess. Like, or some type of urban area. When I say urban, I don't mean big city, just some type of city with internet, some type of running water, et cetera, et cetera. So, I don't know. Just my opinion. Simon just shakes his head.
I think as well, like, on a different note, I'd be interested to see, like, I don't think anyone's ever going to chart this, but I'd be very interested to see a chart on like the correlation between the longer that you're on furlough or the longer that you're longer that you're
that too.
The longer that you're away, and then the number of missionaries that just then don't come back or don't go back to their sending country. Because I feel like for me, the longer the break would be, the harder it would be to then come back.
Absolutely.
Like if you're telling me, okay, I'm going to be here for 2 years and I have to go back to the UK for a year, I mean, that rhythm of life would just ruin me. That idea of I could never settle anywhere because I was here for 2 years and I was there for 1 year, then I was here for 2 years. You're just constantly looking at the calendar, thinking, where am I going to be next month?
You don't have a home, Yeah,
you're just constantly on the move. And so I might be able to do 2 years, then 1 year, then come back for 2 years. But if I go back for that second 1 year, I don't know if I'd come back, because I'd be like, I can't do this anymore. This constant moving, traveling around, because so much changes in a year.
It does.
So you could have an amazing 2 years somewhere, go away for a year, come back, and then just everything that you've known, because you're going to envision.
Oh, I was like, I don't know, bro. You lost me on that.
You're going to envision. Let's use Trinidad for example, because we obviously are here. You're going to envision Trinidad as how you knew it for those 2 years. So that whole year that you're away, you're going to be envisioning Trinidad as how it was for those 2 years, and then you come back, and all of a sudden it's now nothing like what it was a year ago. People have changed. Kids have moved on, leaders have moved on, churches have come, churches have gone, streets have come, streets have gone. You've got new neighbours. There's now 7 new houses in your.
That's very true.
And you're starting again, and you're thinking, and all of a sudden, because I would feel like the new guy all over again, even though people know you. If you've got new neighbours, you're the new guy.
They don't know you.
They're like, well, I've been here 8 months. Where have you been? It's like, well, I was here a year ago. So just that constant having to just feel like I was starting from scratch, feeding into people for 2 years, and then having to say, right, I'm off. I'll be back in a year. Good luck, kind of thing. We'll see what happens in a year's time. I wouldn't be able to continue with that. So I would be interested to see, like, the longer the furlough, how many people actually come back after that.
Go ahead.
I know that it becomes, with that model, it becomes really difficult as well with children too, because children are in a school for a year, or they're every day of their life, every day in that year spending with their grandparents, and to remove them from that, it's heartbreaking for them. And then they're here wondering, why do you have to take me away from there? That I want to live there, or it may be the case. I'm not saying it's always the case, but to have to convince your child that you're coming with me because I'm your parent versus you can stay wherever you're happiest. You know, it can be a struggle in a family aspect too. Yeah,
that's very true. Like, I think some people think like our kids are troopers, specifically in our case because they live overseas and they live it. But like, our kids are living the dream. Like they have a blast of life. Like they have all these animals and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's an experience, and like it's a. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's like they have so many memories and so many things that they've experienced at this age already, like at home, like here. You know, I think they'll have a deep appreciation when they grow older and say they go back to the States or whatever, and they start meeting people that didn't have these experiences. Like, I think they'll, have a much deeper appreciation for just having these life experiences so young, of being able to do stuff here that they couldn't do. Like, I remember when my dad took me to school on the motorcycle every day. Like, me and my sister. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you remember how the pothole, like, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like a terrible thing there, like all the potholes, but then like to them it's fun. Remember we used to we used to go out back and remember those lizards we used to, like, it's just an experience. Remember when the parrots would fly over? Like, it's just so much that they're experiencing living here that they couldn't. I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying it's different. And I mean, at this point in my life, I don't believe in better.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's a such thing as the greatest country on earth. I don't believe that. Do some countries have more opportunities? Absolutely. But I think be where you are, like, and embrace what there is. Because I was talking to my mom about this yesterday. It's like, we could easily come here in your favorite restaurant, McDonald's, and be like, there's no McDonald's here. Oh man, there is no and you could say that for 2 years, or you could embrace what is here, because there are things here that there aren't there, and so you can say like, oh man, I don't know, there isn't, but there's more time with friends and family and stuff here. It doesn't make this a better place; it makes it different, and they're equally. Now, when you leave, there's like, obviously there are things you miss about the UK right now. Like, we miss things about the US, but equally when we go to the US, there's things we miss about here. And so it's not even worth wasting your time and comparing, because there's no comparison on any level either way. It's just embrace where you are, man, and enjoy that, and and go. And that's what, like, trying to teach my kids is like to embrace life and really be humble too. One of my neighbors was saying that, he said it several times actually, talking about how much he appreciates the girls' ability to, because like there's some kids on our street that are really poor, and like they don't care, like they don't, like the kid, like holes in their shoes and stuff, and he's like, man, I notice like how much they don't care. They just play with kids. They're not like looking like weird or whatever. It's like they just don't care. He's like, I really admire.
They
that.
notice though.
Oh, they notice. Yeah.
The other day, Jalen asked me, Mom, how do poor people get clothes if they're poor? And then Jolie also, we're cleaning out their closet because they've grown so much. They don't have much clothes that fit them. Jolie's like, I want to go take this to this girl down the street, my friend down the street. And I said, well, you can't just go and dump a bunch of clothes at one house. Like, you need to ask if they want them first, and let them go through it, because then she's going to be left with clothes that she doesn't want. And, like, that's not right. Well, I mean, I
know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that's not going to happen. They're going to wear every piece. But
I just think as far as their dignity, like, you don't just drop their trash.
I'm with you. I'm just saying that I'm with you. I don't disagree.
Well, I'm just trying to teach my girls a lesson.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
You don't take your leftovers and just drop it off at somebody's house because they're quote unquote poor. You give them the option to accept it if they want.
But that's not what they're thinking. They're thinking of helping, and that's what I mean. Yeah, it's like when I say they don't care that they're poor, I mean that they're not like turning their noses up or whatever. They're conscious of like, oh, how can I help these people? And they're at that age now to where they realize that they have a lot more than most people. And so they look at that and they're like, okay, well, how can I need to give some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, like, they've taken shoes and stuff to her, Dulce or whatever, right? Yeah. They'll take all that stuff to her. And like, I mean, they obviously they love it. They get new free stuff or whatever.
But Dulce's their friend too. It's not just like they see a project that.
Like throwing it out the window at people in the corner.
Like, I have a friend. She's my size. She could really use this.
Yeah, I like that they're thinking like that, because that's the way we're supposed to think. Is seeking out people in need and helping them, or whatever. But I think that has been cultivated by living here, because in the States, like, you know, you'll have in movies and stuff, at least, like their parents will drive them to the poor neighborhood so that they'll have an appreciation for where they live. And I don't know, like, look, you could be living like these people. Like, that's, you know what I mean? That's essentially kind of what it's saying. It's kind of weird. But equally, like, they live here. And, like, again, I just think the wealth of experiences that they have in living here. And, like, long term, I think it's more than money could buy in that sense of, you know.
That's why it was interesting to me on a podcast when you asked the girls what is a missionary, and they just didn't know, because to us we're just living our lives here. Yeah. It's just like they're like, I don't know, you make videos. But
I like that they, because to them being a missionary is being regular life, so they don't differentiate. They don't see it as a job. This is just what we do, and I like that because I think that's a good way to view it as adults too. And then it made me think like, oh yeah, maybe I should view it like that, you know. And like, because they didn't have an answer, but it's not because they don't know. It's because they just, like you said, they just see us living life and whatever. And it's like, oh, which, you know, I think that's good.
So then, Simon, what is your plan then for Furlough? How do you feel like you're going to approach it?
Well, I think I've just thought of another topic for another day, another question we can discuss.
Let's write it down so we don't forget it, because, you know, what is it?
It would be, I'm still wording it in my head. The wording's important. But it'd be something along the lines of, does the jargon we use hold us back? So in terms of using words like missionary, furlough, I'll think of some other words as the weeks go on.
Church planting?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I was against that word.
No, I mean, but you use
church planting.
No, but you used the example the other day.
Yeah,
like
use that.
Church
Yeah, when I was back in the UK, I explained to someone I'll be working with a church plant. They thought I was going to be a gardener for 2 years.
Like watering the one single plant.
One plant.
Every day.
All that way.
You're going all the way for that?
To water a plant. But,
so, groom it, right?
Yeah, just a sense of like, because if we're using this word furlough, and there's 3 of us around this table, and none of us really understand what that word means, we can't expect all our sending churches to understand what that word means.
Yeah.
We can't expect our neighbours to understand what that means. Like if I go to Miguel now and say, hey, I'm going on furlough, like what's that going to mean to him? He's going to have a completely different idea to what I have, to what you have, to what you have. I already don't like using the word missionary. I don't know why. I have an uncomfortable concept when people are like, oh, you're a missionary. For some reason, I don't like using that word.
What do you use? Foreign aid worker?
No, I just say I'm a church worker. I work at the church.
In Bolivia. That's
Bolivia.
the small detail.
Yeah, overseas charity worker, I think was another.
Like whereabouts in London?
But yeah, so it'd be like, do those words hold us back or not? I think that would be interesting. But anyway, going back to your question, what would I consider as furlough? Based on that, I think I would scrap the word furlough and I would just break it up into different things each time. So being forgotten the word, being conscious as to what I was going to do. So that, okay, I'm going back to the UK to raise money, which means I will be going church to church every Sunday for the next month, for the next 2 months, and that will be my sole intention. It's not going to be a break. I'm going to work for those 2 months. But then the next year I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a break. So I'm going to go somewhere for 2 weeks or a month or however long you want, but I'm not going to work. I'm not going to go church to church. I'm not going to raise finances. I'm going to take a break, which is probably easier if you don't then go to your sending country. So if I don't go back to the UK, it would probably be easier to take a break. So I don't know, see another country in South America, go to Brazil for 2 weeks or Colombia for 2 weeks or somewhere like that and say, okay, this is going to be my break. This is going to be my holiday. I think that's how I'd break it up because, I just think there's so many blurred lines on a word like furlough. And to go somewhere for 6 months, I just wouldn't know how to break it up. Like, am I doing enough rest? Am I doing enough work? And I'll just be constantly worried. Or I'm going to take this week off, and then church phones you and say, hey, this is the only week we can fit you in. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're now changing your timetable. So I think, that would probably be my method.
Yeah, I agree with that, I think, because furlough is a word that we didn't know what it was until we became part of missions culture. Yeah. It's something we had to learn to be, not to be accepted, that's not true, but like to, you know what I mean? That's what all missionaries, furlough, what's that? You got to learn to kind of to feel like you're part of these different words or whatever, but it's like, because it doesn't really have like if you ask 5 different organization presidents, they might possibly have similar but 5 different, but equally different definitions, you know. That's a good point. Yeah, let's stop using furlough. All right, enough of this.
Well, we never say we're.
Yeah, we use it because
So
it's the
people
word that people
understand,
use,
yeah.
but we don't. I mean,
We don't tell each other, hey, when are we going on furlough?
yeah, because we don't go on furlough. I mean, stressful to live because again we live at home, and stressful to live away from home, leaving your house and living somewhere where you don't live for a year. Like that's stressful.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. Like yeah,
somebody's house or.
Like
what do you do? Rent a home for?
Yeah, like I pay rent, so now I'm paying double rent. One's the state, like no thanks. I'll sleep in my bed in my house where I pay. Now I got to come back and anyways. But yeah, that's just our perspective. That's the way that we do it. Doesn't mean that everybody has to do it that way, but I mean we like it. We like it the way that we do it. Obviously, that's why we do it.
I do wish we could do it more frequently.
More of it? You mean more vacations?
Not furlough. Yeah, I guess just go back to the States more frequently because sometimes you will go by yourself. Like I always wish we can go with you.
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, like I have fun in moments, but it's not fun without like them.
But then I see some of the things you're able to do with us not there. Like you're able to sit down with some of either church leaders or some of your friends and just really build relationship. If we were there, it's like Jalen or Jolie,
trying to bust her out.
Jolie, or we gotta go,
I mean, they're bigger now, but still, yeah, like.
Well, yeah, that's true. They were little.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could go back more regularly. It's just financially, man, it's a hit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then too, like, you spend that much money, you don't want to go for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? $5,000, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. Like, maybe for some people that's doable. I mean, that's a lot of money for us. Yeah. That's a large percentage of what we bring in the year.
And then if you go around Christmas time, then you got presents.
And you like so now, so 5,000 turns into like, 7,000 or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how much because you travel. We got to fly to Philadelphia, and then we go to Oh boy, I'm stressed thinking about it. I don't want to go back. No. So to each his own on furlough, but it's probably the last time you hear me use that word. Thanks, Simon.
Welcome.
Killed it.
Any other words you want me to get rid of?
Oh, there's a lot, but I'll save it. There's a lot of words we can get rid of. Yeah. So anyway, you got anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
Nope.
Big plans this week?
Yeah, man. Working out. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this when I'm hurting so much right now.
Got to push through it.
I told Ramon I was going to start working out with my neighbor, with Carla, this week. And he went just gave me this look like he did not believe me.
No, I just looked at you. Like, what do you want me to do?
This happened so many times.
I didn't say anything. I just looked at you.
I just fully warned him yesterday. I said, tomorrow I'm just going to overly state that I'm in pain. Just let you know I'm going to use it. I'm going to say it so much.
Yeah, the Jalen face. Yeah, I'm taking the afternoon off after I get this video edited, or he's gonna edit it and then I'm uploading it. And I'm just gonna take the evening off, and then the rest of the week we gotta start finishing projects to get ready to go back, get sermon series ready. I think we're gonna do a quick 2-week political. We have elections coming up October 18th, so that's a big deal. One of the biggest.
Oh, right.
Yeah, one of the biggest elections in Bolivian history, possibly. Most important. So I think we want to, from a gospel perspective, want to speak to that a little bit, and so I want to get ready for that. And so got to finish the church up and get ready for that, and then videos, and all that type of stuff.
You just made me sound like I do nothing. Got any plans this week? Working out.
No, I mean, I didn't even. I wasn't thinking about what you do. Yeah,
I do more people.
Yeah, you.
Helping you guys with the church. Any projects going on there? And then football. My life is dominated by football right now.
Yeah. You play for 2 teams and you do the school.
6 times a week.
Yeah.
Now.
It's not a bad thing, is it?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up here. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate you. This is an awkward ending. I just feel like I just cut. But anyways, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you, your love and support. And thanks for listening to our podcast. Until next time, Provecho.